for humanity.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. My dear audience all over the world, I greet you with the best greeting that ever known to humanity. It's the greeting of peace. Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is your host, Mamdouh Mohamad, talking about something that will cheer you up. Talking about something that's so essential for every Muslim, how to learn Arabic effectively. It's a topic that a lot of audience wanted to watch, and here you go. First, as a reminder for all of us, we should remember the verses of the Quran that talks about this importance of Arabic language. And the first importance of Arabic language is that it helps the person who understands Arabic to understand the Quran, the only speech of Allah that's available on the earth. This is the magnitude and the value and the importance of Arabic language. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Yusuf, chapter number 12, ayah number 2, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنا أنزلناه قرآنا عربيا لعلكم تعقلون. Verily, we sent it down an Arabic Quran. We sent down an Arabic Quran, a Quran in the language of Arabic, so that you would better understand the Quran, so that you can understand the Quran in a better way. In other words, it tells us you can understand the Quran in other ways, but not at the same level of understanding it when you perfect, when you know the language that the Quran was revealed to Muhammad in, and it is Arabic. Some of the ways, some of the tips that can help a person learn Arabic by himself or herself, or at school, or even you can guide your tutor or your teacher to the way that you want to learn Arabic. First of all, anyone who learns a language or learns any subject should specify the goal of learning that language. Is the goal here the conversational Arabic? Or is the goal here specific type of Arabic, like Arabic, as they call it, Qur'anic Arabic, Arabic that helps people understand the Quran, or Arabic for other purposes? I think, as a Muslim, as an average Muslim, I would advise every Muslim to learn Arabic for the sake of understanding the Quran first. Then he or she can add other goals down the road, or after he or she finishes the first goal, which is learning Arabic for Quranic purposes or for understanding the Quran, which means the Quran and the traditions and the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Specifying the goal is very important because you have a specific time. There is a specific time that you are going to spend on this issue. You are going to exert an effort in this issue, regardless what the time that you specify is, but you have to know it. Is it 20 hours? Is it 100 hours? Is it 200 hours? Whatever number of hours you are going to decide, based on it, you are going to get the benefit. In other words, if you are going to learn military Arabic, most of the vocabulary that you need to learn before learning other vocabulary is the military terms. If your focus is on medical Arabic, so you need to know all the terms that are related to medicine and surgeries and all the things that are needed in this field. In this way, you save your time and you use it effectively by learning these words in that field. Now, if our case is learning Arabic to understand the Quran. This means that most of the vocabulary, most of the themes, most of the topics should be related to the commonly used words, vocabulary, and themes and topics of the Quran. And as we know, there are three themes in the Quran. One of them is about the oneness of Allah, which includes all the attributes and the beautiful names of Allah. And the second is about the do's and don'ts, the halal and the haram, the legal and the illegal issues from the Islamic perspective. And thirdly is the stories of the messengers and the stories of the previous nations and the stories that will take place in the future as the description of the people in paradise and the description of the people in hellfire as well. So now let's think of using the vocabulary that talks about these issues. This would be the main priority because these themes recur and come frequently in the Quran. And in this way we can save our time. Now let's get into the technicalities of the matter. Let's first ask ourselves, what is the most important element in the language? Of course, understanding is the key word in understanding any language. Without comprehension, without understanding, there is no learning. Any other thing is considered a waste of time. Focusing heavily on the sounds in the beginning is considered relatively as a waste of time. Focusing heavily on the artistic writing of the letters is considered from this perspective a waste of time. Why? Because there is no element of understanding or comprehension in it. If we can add this dimension to these two skills, the writing and the listening, that would be great. Without having this dimension in them, I think it is some sort of a waste of time. In other words, we can use this time more effectively if our focus shifts from the letters and from the sound to the words. Scholars say learning a word is much better and much more important than learning to perfect the sounds or the letters. This is not only an advice to the teachers, but advice to parents and self-learners as well. And you can not only apply this to Arabic language, but you can apply it to any other language if your focus is that language. So the word is better than the letters, and it is the most important element in learning the language. It is not the group of letters, but it is the word, and when we say the word here, we definitely refer to a meaningful word. People do not communicate by just putting letters beside each other, but when they put a word, they say a word, they start communicating. Then let's move from the word to the sentence. Scholars say sentences are more important than words, because when you communicate with any human being or group of human beings, you communicate in sentences and phrases. You don't communicate in words. Sometimes the word is a mean or are a mean to communicate. Sometimes when you are asked a question, your response may be only one word. But this word, in its essence, represents a whole sentence that's summed up in this word. For example, if I ask you this question, did you travel yesterday to Athens or to Mecca? Your answer would be yes, which means you answered by a word. By this word sums up the full answer, which is yes, I traveled to Mecca yesterday. So here although you are communicating by one word, however, it implies a whole sentence. So what I want to say here is that learning a word in a sentence is better than learning a word by itself. Just memorizing a list of words or a list of vocabulary may not help a lot. And this is an advice for those who learn the Quran word by word. I would say this would be as an elementary level or a basic level, but you need to move from the level of the word to a higher level, which is the level of a sentence. So let me sum up these two steps here, or two stages in learning the language. Is the first one is learning as many vocabulary as you can, but you learn them in sentences. By learning it in a sentence is very essential, and in this way you can understand the whole sentence. Then let's take this advice further ahead. A step ahead when we say, instead of learning this word in just a normal, a daily life sentence, it's much better to learn it in an Islamic context. More specifically, if you learn it in a Qur'anic context. If you're learning the word alim, which means all-knowing, the one who knows all, which is a reference to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you know alim is all-knowing. And instead of saying a sentence like, this person was alim in all aspects, or in some aspects of the matter, you'd better learn it in a Qur'anic context. Inna Allah alimun hakim. Indeed, Allah is the all-knowing and all-wise. And why is this? Because the chances of listening to this word being repeated in the Quran in many places is higher than listening to this word in daily life. Therefore, when you learn it in a Quranic context, it's much better and more effective. So now we are moving from a word to a sentence to, more specifically, a Quranic ayah. Brothers and sisters, let's take a break and come back to enjoy continuing listening to this interesting topic. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.